Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Some customers really think that the employee must be able to read minds to understand what product they want to buy. Our OP from the first story was unfortunate to serve such a person. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I told you that you do sell them here. I used to work at a medium department store popular for its overpriced furniture, imported foreign food, and candy and wine selection. Our stores tend to attract a lot of the customer is always right types because most items are just on the cusp of high-end retail. A customer walks in and wanders around the snack section for a while before flagging me down. Customer: "Yes, I'm looking for these chocolate Italian bears." Me: "I'm sorry, I've never heard of anything like that here." I should point out that I've worked at this particular location for 5 years and was the head of the gourmet department, so I did all the inventory and stocking by myself. I also have a huge sweet tooth, so if anything new comes in, I don't miss it. No, I bought it here last Christmas. I know you carry them. They're little chocolate bears in clear cellophane wrapping. I ask her if she can remember any part of the name, and she's stumped but insists they're here. I'm thinking it must be a Christmas exclusive item, so I go to our Italian aisle in Christmas and start looking around, and then back to our regular chocolate aisle. I suggest a few similar Italian chocolates. Maybe she just meant there was a bear on the package, because Bocce does have a polar bear on some of their boxes, and that's Italian. After 30 minutes, I give up and try to search keywords into our AS400 system. For those of you who were blessed to never deal with this system, it's an archaic application used for inventory, but you have to spell things exactly in order, or the system either spits out 400 retired SKUs or nothing at all. The customer's starting to get irate that I'm trying to find the item in the computer, and I can tell my actions of trying to go above and beyond are just annoying her because it doesn't look like I'm physically doing anything. So I finally just tell her that it doesn't look like that particular item is in stock anymore. She leaves back to the chocolate section, and not even 5 minutes later comes stomping back to the register, waving a white and red box in the air. "I found it! I told you that you do carry it," she says in this sing-song, smug-as-F voice. I look at the box and reply, "Ma'am, those aren't chocolate bears, they're happy hippos, and they're German." As much as I'd love to tell you that she saw the error of her ways and apologized, she instead says, "Well, you should have known what I meant." And our second story. Do you have bus money? Homeless man definitely did not like the response given. This happened a few years ago. I wish I'd captured this on video. Our church is literally on the town square in a major suburb of the metro Atlanta area. There are a few homeless residents in the area, and we have several ministries to help them out with things designed to get them back on their feet. For example, if they need to get copies of a birth certificate in order to get a government ID, we have a group of gents, retired lawyers mostly, who know the system and literally sometimes hold their hands going through the process at the courthouse across the street. One of the other things we do is give people bus passes for the 2 local transit systems in the area that will literally take them anywhere the system goes. My wife, a friend of ours, and I had been at the church for a meeting of some sort. When we walked out to the parking lot behind the building and saying our goodbyes, a gentleman approached us. We'll call him Charlie. The conversation went like this. Charlie: "Excuse me, but could you Christian brothers and sisters spare some money for the bus? I need to get to specific town that the transit system does not apparently go to visit my sick sister." Me: "I'm sorry, my friend, I don't have any cash on me." I don't actually carry cash. Wife and friend don't either. But if you want, we can get you a bus/train pass that'll get you anywhere the specific metro transit system goes. Come with me and we can get it at the church office for free. "Oh, well, I just need the cash because the bus doesn't go to specific town, so I can't take the bus." What? If the bus doesn't go there, how will cash help you take the bus? At this point, Charlie's attitude turns downright combative and aggressive. He starts swearing and calling us various names and indicating he believes we fornicate with our mothers and that we're also prone to bigoted and prejudicial thoughts and feelings. Me: "Well, mate, if you want, I can drive you myself." That literally stopped him in his tracks. He just looked at me like I had 3 heads and just stopped talking. I knew that he wouldn't actually accept the offer, so it wasn't a real big deal, but the look that Charlie gave me, coupled with the look my wife gave, made me start laughing, literally laughing out loud. Charlie just turned, walked away, and started muttering something under his breath about how crazy some people are. My wife was still just looking at me like she'd married a nut job and didn't know what to do about it. Our friend still tells this story frequently as an illustration of you never know what'll come out of his mouth. You seem like quite the character. I really like that final remark about you. And our last story. Revenge on corrupt relatives. This happened back in 2010 when I lived in Winter Garden, Florida. Background. My husband and I moved in with his sick uncle after losing so much during the 2008 housing market crash in the U.S. like many of my husband's lawn maintenance customers. We moved in with his uncle into a condo because his uncle had stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver, and his self-entitled sister and her family refused to help take care of him. My husband, a retired Seminole County Sheriff's officer, important later, and I got ourselves set in the condo's 2 bedrooms as his uncle had himself set up in the living room, including his bed. On the first day, we found dangerous black mold caused by a leaky dishwasher. On the second day, we found the master shower had loose tiles and a leaky shower head. On the third day, we found a nest of brown recluse spiders in the living room. We talked with his uncle about these problems and found out that the slumlord, friends with self-entitled sister/aunt and her family, was refusing to take care of the issues as required by law. We wanted to start legal action then, but my husband's uncle talked us out of it several times. The slumlord was nice to us as long as my husband's sick uncle was alive. The very next day, after my husband's uncle died, was a completely different story. Slumlord had turned nasty, aggressive, and began to try and strong-arm evict us. Slumlord even bowed up and aggressively tried to fight my husband when we dropped off our next rent check. He kept telling us that we had to move or else, but yet refused to follow actual Florida laws to evict us. Slumlord and his corrupt Winter Garden PD code enforcement officer wife even recruit my husband's self-entitled aunt and uncle to start harassing about just moving, even if we had to live in a tent. Self-entitled aunt: why don't you and my nephew just move so they can rent the condo to another senior? Husband: we don't have anywhere else to go yet, and he must go through eviction laws or get into very serious trouble. You're nothing but trouble, retired SCSD officer nephew. You've been problems since the day you were born. Get out of their condo and stop being a problem for everyone. Who cares if you have to live in a tent? All of this made my retired SCSD officer husband, who specialized in uncovering corrupted law enforcement, very suspicious. We talked and began investigating slumlord and corrupt code enforcement wife. My first order was to place all rent into escrow with evidence of repairs that have been neglected. Second, I sent a notification of cease and desist of harassment to the slumlord and self-entitled aunt. Next, I researched public property tax records. Woohoo! Pay dirt there. Slumlord's condo wasn't registered as a rental property within the state of Florida and was paying far less in property taxes than slumlord should have been paying. Property tax records also showed that slumlord did not own the condo. It was still deeded to his mother, which I found out had been living in a retirement home for 5 years before my husband's uncle moved in. My husband found out that corrupt code enforcement wife had been inspecting and signing off on hers and slumlord's properties, including the condo, which is against Florida code enforcement conduct laws. I found out from neighbors in the condo that slumlord had only been renting to seniors with severe health issues. My best discovery, though, next to the tax evasion, was finding out that the Condo Owners Association had a very strict no renting/leasing policy, meaning you or family had to live in the condo and it couldn't be rented. Now that we have all of our evidence, my husband and I began to knock down all the slumlord's dominoes. My husband went and filed a complaint with the Winter Garden Police Department about corrupt code enforcement wife and her perjuring inspections on her family's properties. My husband has a glowing record in Seminole County and with the FDLE for having over 200 clean arrests and taking down nearly 60 corrupt public officials, including Child Protective Services in the early 2000s. This background helped push WGPD to open an investigation into corrupt code enforcement wife, They discovered that not only had she perjured inspections on her family's properties, but also on my husband's self-entitled aunt and uncle's property as well. This got corrupt code enforcement wife fired, stripped of her state enforcement officer's license, and convicted of multiple crimes. I sent all property tax fraud evidence to the Florida Property Tax Division. That got the state to investigate Slumlord. The state found that not only did he commit property tax fraud on the condo, but also on a property that he was renting to his son and self-entitled aunt's son, along with business tax fraud and income tax fraud. Both Slumlord's son and self-entitled aunt's son were also busted for possession of illegal substances with intent to sell when investigators came to the rental houses they lived. I never expected that much fraud to be found from all this, but I'm glad it happened. The business tax fraud of Slumlord affected self-entitled aunt and self-entitled uncle as well, since they were his business partners. Self-entitled uncle then came under investigation by the USPS board as he was the postmaster of Winter Garden. Self-entitled uncle lost his comfy job and pension after it was discovered how he was assisting Slumlord in the tax fraud scam and for stealing money orders. All four were convicted of multiple white-collar crimes, had to sell their properties and most of their stuff, serve some form of time, and pay huge amounts of fines and restitution. Slumlord, his wife, hubby's self-entitled aunt, and hubby's self-entitled uncle, along with their sons, all went down for multiple crimes, both felonies and misdemeanors, all because they thought they could strong-arm evictus. Just proves how smart we tenants can really be when pushed. Also proves why everyone should know all rental laws and how to research public records, because it can save you in the end. Know your rights is really the most powerful phrase. I know your hub's uncle was laughing in the afterlife too. Nice work. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.